Bibliophiles of the internet, my name's Adriana, and today I'm here to bring you my second quarter book haul for 2019. My first quarter book haul covered everything from January through March, and today's haul will account for all the books I've acquired from April through the end of June, and even by my own standards, it's a lot. There's a lot of reasons for that. First of all, May was a ridiculously unforgiving month in terms of new releases, and I also had a strange windfall of luck because many of these are like giveaway prizes or from publishing houses or sent by authors themselves. But also I ran the numbers and I've already read over 60% of these books. So without any further ado, let's get into it. First up is a book I was sent by the author as a thank you for taking part in the Starworld booktube tour, and that is Ink Mistress by Audrey Coulthurst. This is a prequel/companion book to Of Fire and Stars, which I still have not read yet. I believe this one is about a demigod who uses blood magic to dictate the future, and things go bad for her when a spell gone wrong results in her girlfriend's village being destroyed by bandits. Then one of my favorite online resources, Rich in Color, was hosting a giveaway for books written by authors of color to celebrate their 6-year anniversary, and I actually won a copy of The Gilded Wolves by Roshni Chokshi. This is historical fantasy set in 1800s Paris, I believe, and it follows this band of unlikely experts as they hunt down what could be a life-changing ancient artifact. After that, I had pre-ordered a copy of Descendant of the Crane by Joan He. I definitely recommend this book. I reviewed it in one of my May wrap-ups. It's an own voices Chinese fantasy about Princess Hasina, whose father, the king, has just died under very mysterious circumstances. She is convinced he was murdered, and while she is forced to prematurely take the throne, she also enlists the help of a soothsayer, which is very illegal and also comes to depend on a convicted criminal to plead her case. Next, I had also pre-ordered Allie Benjamin's The Next Great Polly Fink. Allie Benjamin wrote one of the best middle grade books of all time, The Thing About Jellyfish, and I have been waiting since then for her next middle grade book. This is it. It's about a young girl named Caitlin who's just moved to a new school, and the only thing anyone can talk about is how the legendary class clown and troublemaker Polly Fink is strangely absent. So obviously the only logical thing is to hold a competition to see which lucky student is going to fill his shoes. After that, I won another giveaway run by Kelly Rodkey on Twitter for a copy of Hot Dog Girl by Jennifer Dugan. This is a queer summer romance with a bisexual protagonist, Eloise, who is spending her last summer before senior year working at a local theme park as the dancing hot dog, which is about as unglamorous as it gets. And she's also hopelessly pining over the park's dreamy diving pirate Nick, except he already has a girlfriend who is literally the princess of the park. Then we have another pre-order from one of my auto-buy authors, and that is Somewhere Only We Know by Maureen Gu. This is an own voices YA romance about mega K-pop star Lucky, who sneaks away from her hotel and security detail because she's really craving a burger, which is how she runs into aspiring photographer/secret paparazzi apprentice Jack. They spend one unforgettable day together while Jack tries to secretly gain intel for an exclusive story, and obviously they end up feeling more than they expect. Then I was kindly sent a copy of Stripped by Zoe Castile from one of the assistant editors at Kensington Press. Zoe Castile is actually Zoraida Cordova's romance pen name, and this is obviously a steamy romance that supposedly has the same energy as Magic Mike. It's about Robin and Zach, who live in the same apartment complex and meet because they've accidentally swapped laundry bags, and Robin finds a star-spangled sequin thong that is clearly not hers. She grows a little wary when she realizes that Zach strips for a living, but the two of them are trying to see if they can make this relationship work. Then I picked up volume 1 of Our Dreams at Dusk by Kamatani Yuki. I've talked about this in quite a few videos. It's an own voices queer manga about a closeted gay high school boy, Dazuku, whose classmates find something damning on his phone just before summer break. After that, they bully him to the point where he does consider taking his own life. But just before that happens, he sees this mysterious person who leads him to a drop-in center for queer folks going through the same issues. Then y'all know I had pre-ordered Don't Date Rosa Santos by Nina Moreno. This is an own voices YA debut about Rosa Santos, who is Cuban American, and it's said that the women in her family are cursed by the sea and that they are doomed to hurt any man they love. As Rosa is juggling college decisions and saving the town's spring festival, she runs into this mysterious sailor named Alex, and it's all about her figuring out what she believes in and finding her place. Then I have a finished copy of a book I hauled as an ARC last time, and that is Mason Deaver's I Wish You All the Best. I made a 5 Reasons to Read video for this. It's an own voices queer YA contemporary story about Ben, who recently came out to their parents as non-binary only to be kicked out. When they're taken in by their estranged sister, Ben is just trying to navigate this new landscape and see where they fit in, and of course they meet a charmingly charismatic classmate named Nathan, who is reminding Ben what happiness can feel like. Then I pre-ordered another finished copy of a book I read as an ARC, and that is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This book really needs no introduction, but it's a queer new adult romance about the biracial, bisexual Latinx first son of the United States, Alex, and his heated rivalry with Prince Henry of Wales. The two of them get into an embarrassing altercation at a royal wedding, and in order to save face and preserve British-American relations, they're forced to basically go on a public tour showing the world that they are best friends, and they turn into the kind of best friends who kiss. Then I'm sure y'all know by now that I went to an author event for the release of With the Fire on High, where I met Elizabeth Acevedo herself. I have an entire vlog of that event which you can check out, but this is her sophomore release. It's another Own Voices Afro-Latinx story about a teen mother and high school senior named Imani Santiago, who's always been one of her family's best cooks. She low-key dreams of becoming a professional chef, even though she knows she doesn't have time for classes or money to spend on culinary school itself, but even with all of those self-imposed limits, she can't help but chase her dreams. Then after that event, since I was already in the bookstore, I got myself a copy of From Twinkle with Love by Sandhya Menon. This is another Own Voices YA romance about an Indian-American teen and aspiring filmmaker, Twinkle, whose friend Sahil invites her to direct a movie for a summer festival, which of course she accepts. Not only does she get to direct her own film, but she might get closer to Neil, Sahil's twin brother and her longtime crush. However, as she works closely with Sahil, she's realizing that maybe the romance she's getting is not actually the one she scripted for herself. Then almost entirely because of Saajid, I got myself a copy of Love from A to Z by S.K. Ali. I will link his review down below, but this is an Own Voices YA contemporary romance about these two Muslim teens, Adam and Zainab, who are both coincidentally headed to Qatar when they meet in an airport. Zainab is grappling with being branded as an angry Muslim, and she's trying out a nicer version of herself, while Adam is dutifully ignoring his diagnosis of multiple sclerosis and trying to keep it a secret. Luckily, as they both try to figure themselves out, they realize that they are destined for more than just a meet-cute. Then a huge thank you to my friend Owl from Yarn Owl Reads, who kindly passed along their arc of Tell Me How You Really Feel by Amina May Safi. This is an Own Voices queer YA romance about an Iranian-American teen named Sana and her longtime crush, Rachel, who is Mexican and Jewish. Back when they were freshmen, Sana tried to ask Rachel out on a date, but Rachel took it as the popular head cheerleader asking out the scholarship film student as a joke. She has resented Sana ever since, but when Sana accidentally damages Rachel's school-issued cameras, she is forced to be the lead in Rachel's crucial final project as punishment. Then I just had to pick up The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This book has been widely beloved for very good reason. It's an adult romance story about a Mexican-American heroine named Olive, whose twin sister Amy has just gotten married to the great love of her life. But unfortunately, every single person at the reception, with the exception of Olive and her arch nemesis Ethan, has gotten dreadfully sick. And there's an all-expenses-paid honeymoon trip to Hawaii that Amy will absolutely not let go to waste, so she insists that Olive and Ethan take the trip themselves. Then for the Queer Lit Read-a-thon, I picked up The Mighty Heart of Sunny St. James by Ashley Herring Blake. This is a queer middle grade story about Sunny St. James, who's just had a heart transplant and now she's ready to go do exciting new things with her life. Things like swimming in the ocean, finding herself a new best friend, and kissing a boy on the lips, since it seems like everyone else is doing it. But when she meets her new best friend Quinn, she realizes that maybe she doesn't want to kiss a boy in the first place. Then I sent an email request out into the ether, and I was completely floored when an advanced copy of Cantoras by Carolina de Robertis showed up on my doorstep. This is coming out on September 3rd. I just made a 5 Reasons to Read video about it. It's an Own Voices queer Latinx historical fiction story set in Uruguay during the 1970s when a military government was in place. Despite queerness itself becoming a criminal act, the 5 women at the heart of the story find an isolated stretch of beach known as Cabo Polonio, which they claim as a sanctuary of sorts where they can just be themselves. Then the folks from the Bloomsbury Children's Division kindly sent me an arc of Some Places More Than Others by Renee Watson. This is an Own Voices middle grade story coming out on September 3rd from the author of Piecing Me Together. It's about Amara, who finally gets a chance to go visit her father's family in Harlem so that she can see all of these local and personal landmarks for herself. But that side of her family is not exactly what she expected, and as she spends more time in the city, she is starting to see where she fits in with these folks and these places. Then from a Goodreads giveaway of all things, I won an arc of Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is one of my most anticipated releases from one of my favorite authors. It's an Own Voices historical fantasy set in Mexico during the Jazz Age. It's about Cassiopeia, who finds a mysterious wooden box when she's cleaning her grandfather's house, and when she opens it, she accidentally frees the Mayan god of death himself. This god requests that Cassiopeia help him retake his throne from his treacherous brother, and if she succeeds, he is prepared to fulfill all her dreams. If she fails, it will mean her demise. Then I had also pre-ordered Natalie Tan's Book of Luck and Fortune by Roselle Lim. This is an Own Voices romance with a touch of fabulism. It's about Natalie Tan, whose mother's death brings her back to her hometown, where she is surprised to find out that she's inherited her grandmother's restaurant. Then a neighbor reads the restaurant's fortune in the leaves and proclaims that Natalie will have to make 3 recipes from her grandmother's cookbook to aid her struggling neighbors if the restaurant is to succeed. Then I had to get a copy of Zenobia July by Lisa Bunker, who is both an author and one of the first trans US legislators. This is an Own Voices queer middle grade story about Zenobia July, a trans girl who's just moved to Maine to live with her 2 aunts and finally live as her authentic self. She's really good with hacking and coding and all of that, so when her new school's website is overrun by offensive memes, she may be able to help figure out who's behind it. Then I got volume 19 of Boku no Hero Academia by Horikoshi Kohei. This is an ongoing manga series set in a world where almost everyone has some kind of unique superpower or quirk. And the story follows a group of young aspiring heroes as they attend one of the most prestigious academies while being surrounded by danger at all times. This is one of the best covers in the series so far, and this volume promises to be a much needed break from the last extremely heavy arc. So I got that when I was visiting San Diego, and on that same trip I also found a copy of Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. This is an Own Voices debut. It's a supernatural romance set in Seoul, South Korea, and the main character, Mi Young, is a gumiho, a mythical 9-tailed fox. She basically consumes the energy of men in order to survive, and after feeding one night, she breaks her own rules by saving the life of a human named Jihoon and loses her fox speed, her gumiho soul, in the process. Then, as if the universe could not get any stranger, I was generously sent a signed arc of Julian Winter's How to Be Remy Cameron by way of Adib Khorram, the author of Darius the Great Is Not Okay. And shout out to Shauna from Bacchus Vines for mentioning me and for boosting the post itself. It was just surreal from start to finish. This is an upcoming Own Voices queer YA story about Remy Cameron, who's known by everyone as the out and proud gay, black, adopted kid who's easygoing and confident. But when he's assigned an essay to describe the entirety of himself, he goes through an internal crisis as he tries to figure out which parts of him matter most beyond the labels that everyone else sees. And along with that, as if that wasn't enough, Adib kindly sent along a signed edition of Running with Lions as well, which, as you all should know, was one of my absolute favorite books of 2018. And to end this haul, I get to say another sentence I never thought I'd say in my life. I was contacted by Frances de Pontes Peebles, and she loved my review of her book and the way I support Latinx voices so much that she offered to personally send me a paperback copy of The Air You Breathe, another of my favorite books. This is Own Voices queer Latinx historical fiction about 2 Brazilian girls in the 1930s, Dores and Graça, who come from very different backgrounds but who both dream of becoming famous chambistas. Graça has an incredible voice and Dores has a knack for composing music, and over the years their friendship is tested as they're both met with varying levels of success. I said it was a lot and that it was wild, and I meant it. I may have forgotten something, but as far as I know, those are all the books I've collected over the past 3 months. If you read any of these yourself, or if you would like to, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. But that's everything I had for this book haul today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you on the flip side of the page. Bye!